Could have just walked away. Ignored the problem. You decided to risk your own safety to help a stranger. Wasn't the first time, was it?
I don't understand.
Well, I'm just saying that you've put yourself in harm's way before. Many times. The question is, why?
Because he was in trouble.
You intervened that night because you're a hero.
Matt, don't do this.
Mr. Ayala, yes or no? Are you the vigilante known as the White Tiger?
Objection! Objection, Your Honor!
Yes or no? Mr.
Order!
Ayala.
We interrupt this program to bring you...
All right, everybody, my name is Kevin.
And I'm John.
And we are the Real Movie Guys, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Review, the series where we review and discuss all your favorite movies and TV shows. On today's episode, we're taking a look at Daredevil Born Again, Episode 3, The Hollow of His Hand. The trial of Hector Ayala begins. Fisk's old business associate seeks to claim his vacant mantle. And don't forget, if you like what you see here and you want to see more, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel today. John, we're in the third episode of the newly rebooted Daredevil Born Again, or the continuation, if you will, of the series from the Netflix show. And you know what? It's continuing a strong beat for me, actually. We're definitely not as much action. We could say that for sure. This was definitely the legal procedural episode of the series. But all said and done, once we get to the finale, I actually had a really great time with this episode. A lot of great suspense, a lot of great character acting, some great character development, I think, in my opinion. John, what'd you think of the episode overall?
No, overall, I thought it was pretty good. It's an interesting way how they put out the first two episodes, and then this one was like, you waited for this one. It was kind of like weird because like the first one was all about violence and killing, and the second two have been kind of like calm and contained, it seems like.
Yeah, no, exactly. This was definitely a more condensed and more, like you said, I think a good word, contained episode as far as the Daredevil show. Not really delving too much into Daredevil, but more in the trials and tribulations of Matt Murdock, it seems, because this episode was mostly a trial episode, which I know some people, I think, are going to have issue with, probably with that, and then something that happens at the end, which I want to talk to you about later once we get to it. But as far as taking the time, I think, to do the trial of White Tiger, Hector Ayala, I thought it was a really good suspense episode. I'm glad they didn't stretch it, right? I could have saw them stretching this like the entirety of the whole season, because I think this is maybe 6 or 8 episodes the whole season. I'm glad they didn't do that, right? Did you like the idea that they kind of just took the trial and said, hey, here's an episode, this is what we're doing, and they kind of seem like they're moving on from it at this point?
Yeah, no, 100%. I like that they did it all in like one shot where it wasn't like drawn out, like how some shows seem to do things, where this was like kind of like, all right, we're going to get this done and over with, and then we can move on from here.
I feel like it's more impactful because I think if you dragged it out with like all these different things that would have happened throughout the course, because the trial isn't necessarily an easy thing. We see kind of how good of a, or bad, I guess, depends on how you look at it, of a lawyer Matt Murdock is, and you see him trying to get the witness to the stand. And I thought that was a pretty like clever situation here, where the witness is kind of against the New York City police, right? That the police want him dead because they don't want him speaking at the trial. So Matt Murdock's kind of doing the old, oh, I gotta switch the witness around to get him to the stand, and he gets him there, and it doesn't end up like he thinks it's going to. And I do appreciate that for the show. And then it takes a strong swerve into the fact that he uses the evidence he withheld for White Tiger, because originally he didn't want the jury to know who White Tiger was as a vigilante, because he thought it would harm his chances of being let go of his conviction. But instead, you see almost like a twinge in Matt Murdock's face, where he's like, I'm gonna just lean into it, like, let's see what happens. But we have no other option at this point, and that's what they go with, and he ends up winning the case for White Tiger. But again, I think there's the strength of Matt Murdock as a character, knowing his chances are blown, he leaps into this almost kind of like, I feel like it's also kind of therapeutic for him, wouldn't you say, for his character, as you know, seeing like what people think of White Tiger, maybe kind of associating himself as Daredevil with that.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting too. I thought it was almost like a clever way of like coming back from a trial where you're like, everything, you tried something so good and then it just didn't work out the way you wanted to, and how he came up with a different plan on how to make his client look better.
Yeah, and again, I like one of the most powerful scenes, I think, is when the courtroom is empty and you see Matt Murdock goes and he sits down in the empty trial room and he's holding the broken Daredevil horn, and you see he's just kind of sitting there like contemplating like almost like what if that was me on the stand, or like just like you have these like just the cinematography, man. I can't really say many Marvel projects have had that. I mean, I wouldn't say it's like the best cinematography in all of cinema or anything like that, but the fact we're getting like a level of competence behind the camera as far as showing us visuals without just saying, oh, I'm Matt Murdock, I'm really sad and this is how I'm feeling right now. I'm glad we can just let the camera work do its job in the show, and that's overall, right? I think overall there's a really great sense of style with the show as far as that.
Yeah, definitely, 100% agree.
Yeah, and then another thing with this show, and we'll talk about the ending because I think that's like the biggest shocker probably in this whole episode. Fisk kind of takes a back seat, right? Fisk really didn't do much this episode?
Yeah, it was kind of.
But I feel like it's fine, right? It was okay, I think, though.
Yeah, I don't think we need to over push Fisk either. I think like just the taste that we get, I feel like is good enough.
Yeah, and they pushed his character. We got to see some of the issues him and his wife are having as far as, we kind of talked about it last episode when we were talking about the show, where we were seeing, hints of that she really wants to maintain power. She kind of wants to be the kingpin, and he's kind of just pushing it away, but he's also finding it hard to let it go as well. And now we're starting to see Mrs. Fisk push back a little bit on him there, making some deals with the gangs and stuff like that. And I'm curious to see where that comes to blows, right? Especially, we know the Kingpin's not going to stay the Mr. Nice Guy, I don't think, throughout the entirety of the season. But I'm glad to see kind of like, again, the juxtaposition of Matt Murdock kind of becoming Daredevil again, all this rising action, waiting for all these like boiling points to happen, right? We're waiting for all these like crash courses of things to happen to where they become these characters again. And Fisk is done, even if it's a little more off screen, I still like how it's building up, right?
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. I feel like also with this, it's like, it's also foreshadowing in ways, like I feel like that's what they've done really well, where they're kind of drawing you into like wanting to watch more in this. And I think most of the good TV shows really do this very well.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm not wanting to turn into the next episode, what's the point of me watching almost? And they're doing that. It's almost like the comic book style, where when I get to the end page of the panel of the chapter, whatever I'm reading, that splash page better impress me. And I think the show does that extremely well. The end of this show actually sets up probably the future of the season, I'm assuming at this point. White Tiger, he's told by Matt Murdock, you probably can't be White Tiger anymore. You can't do this or anything like that. And he's like, oh, yeah, you're probably right. But then he ends up doing it anyway, right? He goes out into the streets. He's going to be White Tiger. He's casually walking down the street. We got some glorious music, spreading. He's about to like do his thing. Someone comes out of an alley, boom, pops him right in the head. He falls over, dead. And you just see like the flash of a Punisher symbol on, I'm assuming it's not Frank Castle, the Punisher shirt, someone walking away, maybe using that symbol for something that's not, what it's meant to be used for at this point. John, were you surprised by that? I was kind of shocked they actually just flat out killed a character right off like that.
See, actually, I wasn't shocked about that. I kind of saw that coming, like not in that way per se,
right? But
I felt like after the whole trial, I was like, all right, now they're gonna get rid of this character, like in one way or another way.
Yeah, and I think I don't know how you feel about this. I feel like a lot of people are going to be upset with this style of writing. I'm not necessarily worried about it. I know some people, I've seen some back and forth with it a little bit, where they feel like we dedicated all this time to Hector and his story, almost to unceremoniously just kill off the character and move on. I don't think that's necessarily the point, though. The point of Hector's character, unfortunately, if you're a White Tiger fan, I'm sorry, I'm not sure what to tell you at this point, but his character's death is being used as the focal point, as almost the point to bring Matt Murdock back to being Daredevil, to show the unrest and the vile nature of the city. And I really think they did a great job by doing that. It's shocking. It's special. It's something that Marvel does not like to do as far as, main Marvel shows. How often do they kill off their characters, can you say? And when they usually die, they don't stay dead is always the joke. But I don't think White Tiger is coming back to life.
No, I don't think so.
And again, I think it's really great. It really sets up the future of the show, and it brings back, the character fan favorite, the Punisher, who we all love. It's going to be amazing to see him back and see his dueling dialogue with Daredevil, Matt Murdock, and see how that comes into play. The show's really exciting. I think it's a really exciting point. My only weakness, I think, is, again, some of the pacing, maybe just slightly. Again, my big issue, again, if I were to really pick something out that I think it's just dragging it down, and I don't see it stopping, unfortunately, are these interview segments that they're doing. They did a little bit less in this episode with like local citizens' reactions, the BB report or whatever it is. It just kind of feels corny, right, John? How do you feel about it, John? I think it's just corny and unnecessary. I think the scenes could just use the time to breathe. I don't think I need those inflection points necessarily.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the whole thing with like that girl that does the whole BB thing anyway, I feel like that's kind of going to be one of those stories that draws out where it's like not as great as what we want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're setting up for it. Fisk actually mentioned it again in this episode about kind of getting her and using her. So I think it's going to tie in, but I don't think we need to be reminded, right? I don't think we need those scenes of just like some guy going, "Oh, I hate that guy in that trial of cop kill." Like, who cares? Like, I mean, I get it. I get it. It worked a couple times. Even if you just used it to introduce the character, that would have been fine. You know what I mean? But I don't need to see it constantly spread out, especially because her story isn't the main focus, which maybe we're leaning towards something like that. Maybe that's coming. I can't say for sure. But with all these other powerhouse actors in the show, I don't know if the show needs time to let BB develop that way as a character, but maybe they have something special. I can't say for sure. But again, it's just kind of holding it back a little bit. And again, I think people will also be held down a little bit by the action. There wasn't a lot of action in this episode, but again, the whole tension, I think, with just that police scene where they're trying to get the witness to the stage, it was great. It was well done. If a little corny and cliche, I mean, we've seen it done before. Like, I'm like, all right, it's probably a bait and switch. That's definitely not him in the car. But again, even if you've seen it before, it doesn't mean you can't present it to me a little bit differently and me still enjoy it, because that's exactly what the show did. But enough rambling. Let's get on to the final scores. I'm going to give Daredevil Born Again, episode 3, an 8.9 out of 10. Had a great time with this episode. Again, just some small things holding it back for me for being, that near perfect score. But again, a very enjoyable show. I'm still having a great time. The director's letting the cinematography speak for itself. We've kind of already moved into another direction with the show, where I thought maybe we would linger longer with this trial with Matt Murdock and White Tiger. But no, the show's like ready to go at breakneck speed and go on to the next thing and kind of build up this maybe greater story involving the Punisher and Daredevil and the corruption in the city with Fisk. Can't wait to see where it goes. I had a great time. I definitely recommend you continue watching it. John, how about you, man? What do you think?
No, definitely 100% agree. I feel like it's a good show. I feel like I'm enjoying it and I'm getting the best out of it. I feel like it makes me want to keep watching it, which is a good thing, which is a lot of shows haven't not done lately.
Mm-hmm.
But I definitely give this show I give it like an 8. This episode, definitely.
Okay, 8's a solid number. I can't say I disagree with you a little bit. I think it's a little bit better than an 8, but to each his own. Again, there are definitely some weaknesses, but out of all the Marvel stuff we've gotten, man, this is probably the best thing next to Loki and WandaVision. All those were really the only other shows I'd necessarily enjoyed a lot, and this is up there for me. It's maybe not the old Daredevil everyone's used to with some of the more sophisticated dialogue, or maybe if you want to look at it that way, but it's leaning into something else, and I think it's evolving nicely, and I can't wait to see where it goes. But most importantly, what I need to know is down in the comments below, what did you think of Daredevil Born Again episode 3? Did you hate it? Did you love it? Did you enjoy it? Are you excited to see where it goes? Are you happy to see the Punisher finally making a comeback? Leave your predictions down below. Where do you think the story's going to go? If you have any ideas, or if you want maybe something you would have changed, or whatever the case is, let us know. We really want to talk to you down below. Again, make sure you like and comment, subscribe, do all that jazz for us here on YouTube. We are The Real Movie Guys. My name's Kevin. That's John. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. We'll see you in the next one.
If you guys like what you've seen here today, consider giving this video a like and leaving your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to stay up to date with everything Real Movie Guys related, make sure to hit that subscribe button and check us out on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. And don't forget, all you audio listeners at home, we are available on many podcasting platforms. Just search The Real Movie Guys, you should pop right up. Thank you again all so much for joining us on this episode of The Real Review. We are The Real Movie Guys. Real guys, real movies, real thoughts. Catch you next time.